So follow that comment back to the original video. Watch his video first. He's advocating for, in disasters, ham radio operators won't go after you because it's a disaster. Like, have a ham radio with you because it's useful in emergencies. And he is not wrong. And I will not argue with one point on that. If it's an emergency and you call out on a radio, we're going to answer that because emergency. We're not going to chew you out. We're not going to whatever. We are going to do whatever it takes for us to coordinate to get you rescued. At least most of us. But here, I want to start with a story. I'm going to come off as a little bit gatekeeping maybe, but I want to tell you a story first to put some context in. And let's do two really quick stories. Short one, you buy a gun, you put it in your bug out bag, you have never fired it, you've never run a bullet through it, you've never sighted it in, you just put it in your bag, okay, I'm good to go, I'm protected. Would you do that? No. You would pull it out, you'd run some bullets through it, make sure everything's operating well, you'd sight it in, make sure it's hitting on target, maybe you sight yourself in, so to speak, to make sure that you can hit the target, and you are going to practice with it. And you'll practice it, three times a year or something, but you're going to put some practice into it. Second story, you build yourself a bug out vehicle. You went through this last one, you're like, nope, never again. I'm going to have myself a vehicle I can drive out. You are a mechanic. You build this awesome vehicle. The engine runs, the tank is full, you back it into the garage, and you never drive it. Are you going to trust that vehicle when it happens? Are you going to trust that vehicle will get you out if you have never driven it before? No. And even if you're the best mechanic in the world, you may miss something. You may have forgotten something, or something was broke inside that you did not realize. No, you practice with it. You test it. So why do you do that with your radio? Why do you buy a radio, you throw it in your bag, and never touch it? That is not the right thing to do. So here is if you're getting a ham radio, why you should at least get your license, or at least talk to ham radio operators, because we have a certain set of frequencies that we define that we are going to use in event of emergency. So everyone in the area is aware, hey, we are using the 240 repeater. That is our first option. That's one of our local ones. And then, if that one's down, we'll try the 650. Well, if we can't hit the 650 and 240, they're on the same tower. We're not going to try anything else on that tower. We're going to go to the 330, because that is going to be our next big one that's in a different part of town. Okay, so now we have 3 repeaters that we are using. That's not even talking about the all the other simplex frequencies that we have. Well, what's a simplex frequency? That's what generally you would do with FRS, from radio to radio. So now we're talking radio to radio, and we have another set of frequencies with a specific other radio is called privacy tone. It's not private. We call it just PL tones, or just tones in general. And so now we have another set of frequencies that we are using with a certain tone, potentially, that we are coordinating with. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different options, or whatever it may be, to work. Some of them are going to be in the VHF area, some are going to be in the UHF area. How do you know where to go? Because there is, let's see here, 443 to 448, there is a ton of 25 kilohertz chunks in that range that you are going to have to constantly scroll through and hope that you hear someone at the exact moment that you're hitting that frequency. And that's just the UHF. VHF is like 4 megahertz, I'm working off my memory here. Again, you're going to have to scroll through and happen to find the right person at the right time if you don't know your frequencies. So ham radio, we have designed ham radio to work well with ham radio operators, not so much with normies or muggles, so to speak. I'm not saying that you can't use it, but you need to know what we're using and what we're monitoring, because if we don't hear you, what's the point in trying to transmit? Let's take it to GMRS, because this isn't just unique to just ham radio. This should be done for your most common radio services. Hey, I have an FRS radio. Those are the radios you get from Walmart. Or a GMRS radio that you do need a license for. You need to coordinate those as well. Hey, in emergency, everyone tune to channel 9 or whatever channel you guys decide in your area. There are national emergency channels. There's national calling channels, which is essentially, hey, this is for you to call up and find someone to chat with. But do you know those? Do you have those on your person? Do you have those set up or pre-programmed in? If not, what's the point in having them? Because there's 22 channels on FRS. So you're turning that channel, hey, I need help, I need help, I need help. Turn the channel, I need help, I need help, I need help. And by the time someone answers you, you may have moved on to the next 3 channels up and not even hear the person, if they even hear you to begin with. If you're all on the same channel or the same frequency in ham radio, now you can start to talk to each other. But that has to be pre-planned. Channel 19, I believe, is like the trucker channel, or the I can't remember if it's like a calling frequency, whatever, for GMRS, which also means FRS can also use the exact same frequency, which means you can use the same channel. That is a pretty common one, but you need to coordinate that. And you have 2 or 3 just in case, because now you have 3 channels you're trying to look for, and when you're in a panic, the last thing you want to do is fiddle around with your radio trying to figure out how to make it work. You want to turn it on, tune to the right place. Hey, this is, and I need help now. I am at blah, 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 blah. Hey, thanks for getting a hold of me. It can be just that quick. You need to practice, you need to coordinate, and you need to constantly maintain the equipment. In other words, use it. This is why ham radio, a lot of times we do a weekly emergency services net, or just a weekly net. We're testing our repeater out, we're testing our primary equipment out, or secondary equipment. You know, who's to say that this time I'm using one on my desk, and then I'm using my walkie-talkie, and then I'm using maybe another walkie-talkie. Now the next net I'm in my truck, making sure that radio's working good. Constantly testing the equipment, constantly making sure that it is in good operational order, and at least to be able to know that I can go to this particular set of coordinated frequencies and be ready when it hits the fan. And that is the difference between ham radio, which is a hobby, which is a service of the FCC, and GMRS FRS. But if you really want to be prepared for emergencies, you need to do a little bit of work on this side as well. And you need to make sure that when it hits the fan, you know how to get a hold of hams, you know how to get a hold of anyone with that to get a hold of the hams, or police, or whatever in the end. So, again, I'm not trying to gatekeep, but I'm trying to educate you into how to prepare yourself and move forward, because in the end we all want everyone else to survive, right? So take your time to practice. You don't have to do it often. It can be just as often as you take your gun out to the gun range, but at least you know how it works. So 7-3 from WX0 MIK, and stay safe, Florida. That thing looks nasty.